When an NHL blockbuster trade hits the news feeds, the headlines focus on the stars. But for the prospects swept up in the frenzy, it's often a story of sudden change, confusion, and ultimately, new beginnings. Victor Mancini, now a rising defenseman in the Vancouver Canucks organization, knows this all too well. Today, we peel back the curtain on one of this year's most talked about deals, reliving Mancini's whirlwind journey from the New York Rangers to Vancouver, and how the rookie defender is now finding his place on the ice and in the hearts of Canucks Nation. The trade that shook two franchises as the calendar turned to January. The hockey world was rocked by news that JT Miller, one of Vancouver's elite forwards, was being shipped to the New York Rangers. The deal made instant headlines, but for players like Victor Mancini, who were bundled as prospects in the trade package, the impact was both unexpected and deeply personal. For the Canucks, this was about planning for the future, securing young talent to help construct a contender from the ground up. For the Rangers, Miller's arrival signaled an all-in push for the postseason, and for Mancini, a promising 22-year-old defender, it was the start of an unpredictable ride through professional hockey's most chaotic emotional side. A night of confusion. Mancini's why. Welcome to the big leagues. Mancini, a 6'3" powerhouse and former fifth-round draft pick in 2022, found out he was being traded in a way that perfectly sums up the uncertainty of NHL life. He was skating warm-ups for Hartford and Laval, expecting another routine minor league game with the Rangers' AHL affiliate. In his own words, "It was a little bit chaotic. I was in Hartford at the time, playing in Laval. I was getting ready for a game, on the ice warming up. And after warm-ups, my coach pulled me aside and said, 'Hey, you're not dressing to.' Usually, when I'd go up or down, they'd tell me right away. But they didn't say anything. I was a little confused, but they said it was a decision from management, and that's all they knew." That mystery left plenty of room for imaginations to run wild. Mancini recalls the strange looks, the whispers in the locker room, and hearing all the JT Miller stuff. Within hours, his entire career trajectory flipped. "I was on a plane to Vancouver the next day, and the rest is history," Mancini said, looking back with a smile. Transitioning from uncertainty to embracing Vancouver, jumping to a new organization mid-season, can be daunting for any young player. But as the days unfolded, Mancini's anxiety gave way to especially when he received encouraging calls from Canucks GM Patrick Allvin and others. "My agent was calling me, going through the process, getting calls from Allvin and the GM. It felt like I was wanted in the Canucks organization, which made me feel at ease," Mancini. What could have been a destabilizing move instead felt like an invitation. Surrounded by new teammates and finding support from Vancouver's passionate hockey community, Mancini quickly saw the silver lining. In his words, "Playing in the NHL in a Canadian city is amazing. The support we get from fans, and walking through the street, people come up and say welcome to Vancouver, and you can tell how invested people are in the Canucks, which is really making his mark." Stats, impact, and playoff promise. Despite the chaos, Mancini quickly proved he belonged. Between his time in New York and Vancouver, he logged 31 NHL games as a rookie, 16 of those with the Canucks. In Vancouver, he notched his first NHL goal, added 2 assists, and earned praise for his poised physical. Across both organizations, he finished the season with 8 points, a promising debut for any fitter. Built for the demands of the big leagues, Mancini's 6'3", 230-pound frame brought much-needed grit and size to Vancouver's blue line. Teammates and coaches alike have pointed to his strong positional game and willingness to battle in tough areas as reasons to feel hopeful about his long-term. Now, with Vancouver's affiliate, the Abbotsford Canucks, Mancini is starring in the Calder Cup playoffs. Further evidence that he's not just a throw-in from a blockbuster trade, but a core piece for a rebuilding franchise with playoff aspirations. The bright future of Vancouver. The Canucks front office is building a foundation meant to last, and Mancini is firmly at the center of that vision. He's set to grow alongside elite young prospects like Elias Pettersson, 2022 first-rounder Tom Willander, and talents such as Kirill Kudryavtsev and Cole. For a club hungrier than ever for long-term success, Mancini's adaptability, size, and calm under pressure offer his smooth transition post-trade shows that he can weather an underrated skill for any young. With his first full training camp as a Canuck on the horizon, Mancini stands as a textbook example of how calculated risks in blockbuster trades can pay off beyond just the headline name. Embracing the Vancouver hockey. One of the defining aspects of Mancini's transition has been his connection with Vancouver's fans. Unlike some American cities, There's a palpable energy and unity in Canadian markets, a culture where hockey players are local celebrities and true community. As Mancini walks down Vancouver's bustling streets, he's greeted with cheers and encouragement. People come up and say, "Welcome to Vancouver," he beams. That support isn't lost on him. If anything, it makes him more determined to pay it back, helping lead the Canucks' blue line into the future and inspiring kids who dream of one day pulling on the jersey themselves. How far can Mancini and Victor Mancini's route to Vancouver was anything airy. But sometimes, it's the path full of twists and turns that sets a player up for the... Will he become a mainstay on the Canucks? Can Vancouver's new youth movement lead to a deeper... What are your thoughts on the Canucks' big trade and Mancini's impact so far? Drop your opinions and best wishes in the comments. And if you're excited to see where this promising young defender's journey leads, don't forget video. Stay tuned for more behind-the-scenes stories and rising star coverage. Right here on our channel, where the next big moment is always just one game away.